Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering Ipswich Town since 2015. My name is Benjamin Bloom and you are watching or listening to the flagship show available each and every Monday. So for a sometimes entertaining and always informative hour of football conversation, make your Monday a Blue Monday. Dave, we're having technical difficulties.
Crap. Internet.
It's a role reversal here. I've just kept Dave waiting 25 minutes. Well, my internet is rubbish, which is very frustrating. Do you know the worst thing with the software we use, Dave?
Yeah.
A little thing just pops up in the corner telling you your internet's rubbish.
It's annoying, isn't it?
Not good for your focus. And if you ever do these as a live stream, someone will then pop up and go, Ben, you're pixelated. Why are you pixelated, Ben? Why are you pixelated? Like I'm gonna put my Super Mario overalls on and start pulling pixels off myself. Go fix the internet. Anyway, I'm clearly in an irritable mood, Dave, aren't I?
You got to roll with the punches, mate. Roll with life's punches, and this is what we're doing.
It's first world problems, really. That an image of me is not.
It used to be me with my crappy, almost dial-up internet. But since my new super duper, I'm tempting fate here. Very much touching wood, going everywhere. I'm a lot better.
So welcome to the show. For those watching, I may not look as dashing as I normally do. That's Talk's issue, not mine, or StreamYard's maybe. But hopefully down the audio feed, we're sounding nice and clear.
Lovely.
I'm going to stop moaning, Dave, and we are going to head over to the news. Another week, DD. Another few signings. It was a bit like, do you remember in the Olympics in 2012 when the British lot won a load of medals in one go, didn't they?
Super Saturday.
Yeah. It was Transfer Tuesday. There you go.
There you go. Nice segue.
That works out well.
Like it.
And another two in, Connor Chaplin, the former Championship Player of the Month for Barnsley in the 1920 season, an inside forward known to Paul Cook from Pompey. And George Edmondson, a big hulking centre-half who was loaned to Wayne Rooney's Derby. Again, players that have gone into the Championship and been all right, actually, in recent times. Look, when you hear the word Derby at the moment, you just assume anything to do with it will stink. But let's not put George Edmondson
Ben,
on that.
With your Championship hat on, obviously Ben's other life as a Championship. I want to say, I don't want to call you pundit, broadcaster, pundit, broadcaster.
When my internet works,
guru. Did you have much sight of young Edmondson last season in a Derby shirt?
He came late in the season at a point where Derby were throwing a lot of the proverbial at the wall. A load of loan players came in and hoping that something stuck. Look, Harry from Bath said it best, didn't he? Owners relegate clubs. I would add to that, chaos relegates clubs. Look, he was fine for Derby in a not very good situation.
Essentially left-sided, Ben.
I think that's where they put him. I saw one glorious game. As you know, Barnsley last season were pretty thrilling but quite direct, and Derby decided to counteract Barnsley's directness. That they would be even more direct. And if you want to see the most muck and bullets game in the history of the world,
what was the score? What did it end up?
What do you reckon?
0-0.
0-0. Worst game I saw last season.
No.
But Dave, your thoughts on these two, and again, sought after players by Championship clubs. Don't get me on my high horse about undisclosed fees. Unless your email is mark.ashton@ITFC, I don't believe you, and you don't know how these deals are structured.
I mean, they were both. No.
Phil is reporting $750,000 for both.
Yeah, for both, I think, aren't we? One, Edmondson, a reported 4-year deal, which is pretty mind blowing, and I think Chaplin apparently a 3-year deal. What I like about our business that we have done this summer is that there's been sort of speculation, and then bang, crash, wallop. They're done and dusted. I mean, Chaplin, I think, was announced, well, not announced. So Edmondson was announced first, and they said, oh, and we're also in apparently for this kind of Chaplin, young, striker from Barnsley. Expected loose ends to be tied up perhaps by the end of the week, and he was done by the end of the day, sort of thing. So that's what I like about our business this summer. We've been in for players, and bang, the deals have been done, which obviously, when you have the financial backing that we have now, makes it easier than in previous seasons. I mean, both from Championship backgrounds. I think Chaplin's already come out and said, some might be surprised that I've dropped from the Championship, but clearly
me for one.
Well, there you go. But clearly, Cook's a big influence on him. It was a big influence certainly in his early career at Portsmouth. So. Promising player. 2 great signings with Championship pedigree, as you said, with Edmondson. Derby, I think it's fairly widely reported we're keen to sign him on a permanent deal, but as we know, it's a bit of a basket case round there at the moment, and there's a transfer embargo.
Nobody's going in there, Dave.
No. So, it was, at their loss, hopefully, is very much our game. But as you quite correctly said, the usual, I mean, I think every single signing we've made this summer, there's been speculation that usual suspects, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Wigan, perhaps, Charlton, have been also interested. And some slight on the back of that signing, I think, of those 2 signings, some maybe slight sour grapes from coming from the south coast, coming out of the south coast region, let's say. You don't. We've been there though, but hey, what a refreshing change, because we've been in exactly the same position, haven't we? With every season for the last seemingly 10 seasons, probably, where we just haven't had the clout to compete.
Let me talk to you about Chaplin, Dave, because he kind of excelled under Struber, not even the previous Barnsley manager, the previous Barnsley manager now, who played a slightly more reserved but still very intense style. And it was the likes of he and Woodrow, Austrian player called Frieser, up the top there. And when the new guy came in, it went a little bit more direct. And then they brought in this lad, DK, at sort of February from the US.
Is he still? This is interesting. I know this is a Town podcast. Is he still there? Did he hang around or not?
No, he was just on loan for the season. We've got some Belgian fella in now, but very much a sense of a player who was a star but didn't quite fit into the new guys system. Can I just talk about something, Dave? Because I'm sure this is getting very annoying for everybody. Like you say, the sour grapes and all of this stuff. There is no money in the Championship. No. And if you've actually read the FFP rules, there's a fairly reasonable argument that it's better to load up your balance sheet whilst you are in League One in comparison with the Championship. We know there's a salary cap ratio to turnover in League One, but there, as I understand, there's no, the old 13 million loss on the 3-year rolling period. A lot of people are, and please, I'm giving you some ammunition, because I've seen a lot of people going, Ipswich, FFP. First of all, for Ipswich to be in trouble with FFP, you would need to know what their turnover is for this season. It literally hasn't happened yet. So when we get to the end of this season, then a year after that, the turnover will be reported. Also, money is not all paid up front in football, and we've seen just with the Harry Wilson transfer, Dave, Fulham are not going to pay a penny this season. They've got a brilliant deal with Liverpool for Harry Wilson as well. So I think there's a bit of sour grapes, and there's almost a sense, spend the money now.
No, I agree. I think there is certainly a degree of sour grapes. But Ben, look at all our outgoings and wages. Look how many players have fucking left the club, for goodness sake. I mean, it's ridiculous. So all those wages have gone out. So yeah, it's yes, there are now fees being talked about, albeit undisclosed. Which look, I don't think we've barely paid a fee for player in the last 5 seasons. We have, but not to any great extent. So you have to counterbalance it. You have to counterbalance it with that. But look, I've got of course we've got no issues. We're loving it now. Yes, we've got some finance. Yes, we've got some proper football people, running the club that are able to get these deals. Okay, it's easy with finance, but actually get these deals over the line. So look, it's time we should enjoy our hopefully long extended period in the sun, hopefully. But let's see.
For once, Dave, the timing is actually good, because
it is.
When you see Connor Chaplin, Lewis Wing, Sam Vokes, all in about 3 days dropping from the Championship to League One, Championship clubs they cannot carry a 10 grand a week player on the bench.
You're far more qualified than me, but looking at the Championship this year, it looks very, very average to me. I mean, you might have a totally different opinion.
No one's got any money except the lovely parachute teams, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's no great. Given that, it's no great surprise really.
But, yeah, there you go. Speaking of money, Dave, do you want to know how much it'll cost you on a match day to go into Portman Road next season?
Go on, hit me with it.
Cheapest seats, mostly in the lower tiers, £21.50.
Wow.
For adults, and then it drops 15 quid for seniors, 11.50 under 23s, £4.50 for under 19s. Cheapest seats there.
Very good.
The old premium seats, which is probably more your thing, Dave, with your
not really. Probably where we had our Blue Monday seat last year. That was relatively premium, wasn't it?
That was cleverly picked right next to the premium seats, but not in that.
That's right. No. I still retain my seats in you believe it, in that same. I know you hate it. I think you sat there once. How do you watch a game from here?
Oh, Dave, you're about 4 or 5 inches taller than me, aren't you?
Yeah, good point. Probably inches taller than you, and I quite like it. I'm quite close to the pitch, and not in that corner near the.
No, each to their own.
Near the old Sir Alf on the edge of the penalty area, so I quite like it. And I like well, hopefully, who knows who'll be sitting around you, but the same sort of people who sat around for actually seasons upon seasons, which I quite like. There's some good banter there, so I quite like that. But yeah, I mean,
can I just give you the premium prices, Dave?
Sorry.
Can I give you the premium prices just quickly? Because people are going to go, 45 quid to watch Morecambe. But that's the bit in the middle of the cobble, which is only a few hundred seats. So 45, and then top of the Pioneer, I think 36, and Churchman's 34 in the bit right on the top tier.
Yeah, I think the Pioneer is now the Pioneer Britannia Co-op, whatever is now fondly known again now as a West Stand, which takes me back to my year. I might be wrong. I think it is. I don't know. But it's
not take up the sponsorship again. Someone will tell us in the comments, won't they?
Of course. It's what was I going to say? It's I mean, for the 23s and the 19s, fantastic.
Brilliant.
I mean, that's bloody unbelievable, isn't it? Superb. So, and again, very much they're the future of the football club. Those fans. So, be interesting to see. How many we get for the Morecambe game. But I think it'll be the biggest crowd for the first day of the season we've had for many seasons.
Ted Bishop to Lincoln, Dave, and Michael Appleton. He looked after Johnson's boy, didn't he? Brennan Johnson last season. Played some good football. George Grant has left Lincoln to go off to Peterborough. So there is a creative-ish hole in that midfield. Although Maguire they brought in as well. So good luck, Ted. Godspeed. Don't get injured, mate.
No, look, what a favour. sad day, really. I think for Bishop himself, he had to move, one of these moves where, look, he was in as Joe, our colleague Joe referred to as well, has been commonly referred to as, he was one of the bomb squad as such. So, look, he was always going to be out. Heavily linked, I think, with MK and Cambridge, I think. He's, what was his, effectively where he was, but he's not effectively his hometown sort of club. What a great player. When he first came on the scene, 14, 15, brilliant player, absolutely superb player in that season. And you could see, well, we've got a player who's just going to up, and a Premier League player in the making. We're playing. Don't forget, we're playing in the top echelons of the Championship. Then, fantastic player, loads of talent. And just injuries, Ben. Just injuries have absolutely slaughtered the boy here, really. And even when he came back last year, and had those, had the games, had the continuity of games last year. There was still time of the game where he'd drop his shoulder and drive. You think, yeah, what potential, what a player. Just think he'd lost perhaps that little bit of pace, maybe a little bit of that. And a player, to progress his career, just needs to get away and get away, try and put all that behind him and kick on. Still relatively young, 25. Yeah, and Lincoln under Abbott on a team that, as you quite rightly said, likes to play football, could flourish, and good luck to the lad.
Playoff finalist last season.
Really good luck to the lad. I mean, again, another one of these lads who perhaps hasn't covered himself perhaps in glory with regard to all these young players, social media and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot, initially a lot of potential there, and hopefully he can, like I say, he can realise some of that.
If you think Derby's a basket case, Tyree Simpson has gone on loan to Swindon, Dave, who I do believe have some players and a new owner now. Simpson, 19 years old, big, imposing fella. We saw him used a few times by Paul Lambert, didn't we? What does Tyree Simpson need to do in League Two at Swindon to catch Paul Cook's eye? Is there anything he can do, given
I don't know, he's a bit,
what's come in?
Looking at the lad, you'd say, a lot of these players that are sent out on loans, go down to League Two, toughen them up. But
no,
he's a boxer. I think he was a boxer, wasn't he? I mean, he's got that physique, incredible physique. Just game time, Ben, I think. Just general sharp and game time, which, let's face it, the 23s aren't really going to give you week in, week out. So look, let's hope he goes down there, gets some game time, and just general increase, I guess, his sharpness, touch, I suppose. If you were critical of I say critical, he's such a young player, but when I've seen him, maybe that first touch slightly not quite, but he's so strong. He's the sort of player that perhaps hasn't got the best first touch, but is so strong to retain possession of the ball. So yeah, I just think just general game sharpness, Ben, and what's the word? Street, get a bit more, get some streetwise, which all these players need. So again, that can only be good for him. Let's hope he goes and plays.
Little test for you, Dave. Who said this? He's not kicked on. That's no criticism of anybody, but the environment they were in, I don't think anybody could. I think mentally going out on that pitch for the young players was a grind.
I think that might be the father.
One of your favourites, Dave.
The father of Andre, is it? Is it the father of Andre who said that? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I suppose there was a pull. I mean, let's face it, he did very well with. The
background here is he's left his role.
He's basically Jason is he's left his role as joint under 18s coach and has come out and said, look, he wants to follow Andre in the Championship at QPR. I mean, good luck to him. I think, didn't he not start last weekend when he turned over a Man U 11?
I don't know. Yeah, I
think he did. I think he played an hour or so. I've got a good friend who's a QPR, really quite a good friend who's a QPR fan. So I'll be keen to get updates from him throughout the, if he plays throughout the season. But yeah, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. You'd think there's perhaps slightly more to it, but look, I don't know that. But yeah, good again. Good luck to at least Andre when he plays will be playing in the Championship, not in our division. So good luck to the lad.
In the top 8 in the Championship, I would suggest as well.
Would you? I
would. Yeah. I mean, you said it yourself in the Championship, Dave. There's some 4 teams with some money, and then QPR finished well.
we'll get onto this, but I tell you what, on the basis of what I saw yesterday,
there you go. There you go. Well, we talk about that in one sec. Just quickly, if you want to hear more from Jason Dezell, you can hear him recanting the wonderful promotion season with Craig. You can find that in the archives on YouTube. Yeah. Maybe do it down the podcast feed, because Jason was lying down on his sofa holding his phone, and a few people got a bit seasick. But obviously, the content of what he says was absolutely fantastic.
Was great. That was really good. Yeah.
Speaking of content, we don't like to do this, but the Football Content Awards are taking your votes at the moment. I think you find them on Twitter, FCAs. If you wanted to, look, we only do it for a bit of fun. Hey, you can go and vote the Blue Monday podcast as the best podcast. Obviously, you're up against Leeds podcasts and Liverpool and Manchester United. So, but it's very lovely, all the people who've tweeted us saying they are voting. So you can go and have a check at that. And we'd better go, Dave, because you were there yesterday.
I was.
On the other side of this, we're going to talk about yesterday's friendly against Millwall.
Yeah.
So, pre-season friendly at Portman Road, we had Palace last week. It was Millwall yesterday, Dave, and you were there. First of all, how we have to ask this every week now. How was it getting in and out? How many people were there? Did you feel safe?
It was quite odd. I'd counterbalance this with I went and morning to our podcast colleague Craig. I met Craig for the first time at Chelmsford on Thursday. Went to the cricket with some pals, and Craig was there also. I must say, Craig was in corporate. I wasn't, but hey, you know. No, I had a nice chat with Craig, so that was nice. But the difference in the two was quite stark, I would suggest.
What do you mean?
As a comparison, Chelmsford, bought your tickets, fine, in you go. Went to Wetherspoons, obviously Wetherspoons for an all day brekkie, some ballast beforehand. Obviously it's cricket, it's a potential long day at the cricket, albeit it's got hammered, so it perhaps wasn't quite so long. And yeah, just just walked
different
in,
drinks,
no masks, walked in, find your seat, fine. Now, on the way, I thought I'd kill two proverbial birds with one stone. On the way down
with two birds,
exactly. On the way down to the station. Oh, and I got on the train for the first time on Thursday for the first time to Chelmsford in 17 months. That was not an interesting experience.
Oh, you've missed that, haven't you? Yeah.
I really have. That was fine. But so I thought, no, I'll go down and do you know what? I'll go. I haven't been to Portman Road for whatever since I was last year for the Portsmouth game or whatever. I'll pick up my tickets from Planet Blue for a change. That would be nice. So I went down, fine. I'd been double vaccinated, so to check is have your tickets. And obviously I went with Jordan and Kieran, my two lads. That was nice. So I got them tickets also, and they all come up. Kieran's got a ticket and season ticket anyway, so they all come up on the family link thing. Anyway, so me and Jordan just had his second vaccine the day before, I think. So that was all fine. Kieran, who'd only had one, he's 23, should know this. Had only had one vaccine. Had to provide a lateral flow test before he could get in yesterday. Had to buy evidence of a negative lateral flow test before he got in. So anyway, we marched down to the football ground. So queuing up, usual turnstile, stewards outside wanted to see your NHS app or your card with your proof of double vaccination. Obviously, Kieran with his lateral flow test went virtually straight through, and myself and Jordan had to then show our tickets that lined up with our NHS with the card or
sorry, Dave, can I just clarify? Could you go up holding a lateral flow test that showed negative and showed it to them?
Yeah, I think that's what Kieran did. I'll have to check that, but he got in quicker than us.
We could just put tap water on the lateral flow test and not actually take it. Yeah,
but listen to this. The other thing, the steward asked us we showed our ticket, same name as on our COVID card or the app. And then said, "Oh, can I just see have you got a driving license or any other evidence of ID?" What the?
Wow.
I mean, so that was interesting. But yeah, once in the ground, you didn't. I don't think you didn't have to wear a mask and wander around. Oh, God, not that I went. I just went to my seat, sat there. And again, there were slots again. So it was 2:15 between ours was 2:15 to 2:30. Of course, it was me. We got there at 2:45, but that was fine. And it was some apologies for that. But it was, yeah, real. I wouldn't say it was overkill. It's just what they did, But yeah, in stark difference to the cricket. However, when I start coming out with a temperature and a cough later, then no.
Stop it, don't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but look, I had no problem with it. It's just lovely to be back.
It's very much a rock and a hard place, and everyone. Well, I don't think it's just COVID. Everyone's so split and divided about everything that you go one way, you upset the people on that side. You go too far the other way.
Damned if you don't.
Damned if you do. Damned if you don't. Very, very much so. Right, here's your Ipswich Town team yesterday from the friendly then, Dave. Hladky, Vincent Young, Nsiala, Wolfenden, Penny, Burns, Harper, Evans, Dobra, Pigott, and Bond. What was the team shape, Dave, and what was your thoughts on?
Yeah, I had it as I actually sat up in quite a nice seat yesterday. I had a sort of like almost a 4-4-1 with 4-4-1-1 with obviously obviously the back four there. Evans and Harper in centre mid, Burns right, Dobra perhaps a bit more essentially left, but a bit more progressive, and Pigott really playing behind in that slightly withdrawn role. I'd say playing behind Bond, who was up front. Who, let's face it, I felt sorry for Bond yesterday because, not surprisingly, did not get a lot of change out of the uncompromising Hutchison and Cooper, I would suggest.
There you go. And this is when it brings it home of how we stood still for the last 3 years. Because remember, Millwall were in League One in 16-17, weren't they? They came with Bielkowski, McNamara, Ballard, who we saw on loan at Blackpool last season, Hutchison, Cooper, Malone, Keefton Beld, Evans, Saville, Wallace, and their new on loan striker, Benick Afobe. So this is if you are getting back up to the Championship, this is what, and have a look at Luton and Coventry as well. Barnsley, this is what the standard League One sides have set in the Championship the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, that's the yardstick. I mean, just midfield really. Keefton Veld, outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Buzzed around, landed on the ball. Malone, lovely player. Just played wide left, lovely left foot, great touch.
Always that goal he scored at the Cottage for Fulham against
us. Always liked him. Just lovely left foot. And obviously, you've got Wallace wide right, who's we know he's quality player. Been doing it for the Championship in the Championship last few seasons. They looked a really, how can I put it, well drilled, well organised, sharp.
It's Rowett. Dave, it's Rowett, isn't it?
Yeah, good, mate. Got now got a Phobie, on loan. I'd say potentially, okay, put it in the context who he was playing against yesterday, but poacher, scored goals pretty much wherever he's been. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about the Championship, and you said about those 3 or 4 parachute teams, and the rest, the Pretchers, call them much of a muchness. Yeah, I'd say they'll get it in now, there or thereabouts. So really do. But look, hard to say. It's very hard to say pre-season friendly. But anyway,
how did we look then, Dave?
Yeah, they had a lot of possession. They started really well. Then we sort of grew into the game, I would say. And when they scored the first goal fairly late in the first, I think about 40th minute, just before the 40th minute. And up to then, we just had our best sort of passage of play. Sort of 10 minutes, we'd force a couple of corners, a really good short.
What did that look like, Dave? Because we've talked about the Cook intensity, but this is a friendly, of course, and the two kind of.
This was feisty at times. I mean,
okay.
I think it was Cooper or Hutchinson and a real tear up with Nsiala. There was a corner, and I think it was Cooper. I think just perhaps left an arm on Nsiala, which he didn't take kindly to. There was a right flare up in our box, sort of halfway. No, on sort of 20 minutes. So I would say it's a friendly. I've seen. I'd say it was a fairly good workout. It was pretty intense friendly. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, it was some. Christ, McNamara tackle on Dobra, awful tackle, where again you think perhaps if this was a league game, that was bordering on red. I mean, it was bad, really bad, very straight, down the back. So it was a fairly intense friendly.
Anyone just stand out, Dave, from our boys?
At times Evans and Harper, when they're on the ball, I'll tell you what, there were certain periods where, last season or previous season, we've got the ball in fairly advanced areas, and the fullbacks have got the ball. There's no one really to pass to forward. So they've looked back, and it's gone back inside. Then ultimately the centre halves had to turn and give it back to Holy or whoever and blast. Well, certainly yesterday I'd say certainly first half, Evans and Harp are much more available and always looking to push. And the passing looked a lot crisper. Evans is a player. I thought he was slightly off the pace yesterday, but they had that Kieftenveld in midfield is just mobile, little sort of player, gets around the pitch. Well, they looked. I said in the WhatsApp yesterday, a yard sharper. Yeah, they were sharper than us. They looked. But again, look at their side. Look at the essence of their side there. That's a side that's played together. This for what, a couple of seasons. That the bulk of that
people
side.
Like particularly Cooper, Hutchison, and of course Saville's gone and come back from
obviously Wallace,
Wallace has been there the whole
I think
time.
Bart's been there a couple of seasons now. So I think the nucleus of that side. So I think this is very much from the on the social. Looking at the social after the game. That it will take a bit of time to gel. There was some sort of work to be done, but you can tell the quality. Certain Harper when he's on the ball, Evans when he's got on the ball, sort of pinging balls in, and there was some quality. Piggott showed. Again, tough against those two centre halves, really tough. Because I'm surprised, and they can play as well. I mean, they were big, uncompromising centre backs, but they could play. They really could play and were sharp. So, it was I'd say a good workout yesterday. Yeah, perhaps not the right result, but perhaps good to get that out of your system. Was it a poor performance? I'd say it was poor. They were just. I'm really impressed with them. Really impressed with their movement and their intensity. Really were. So, Bond.
I don't want you to dig anyone out, Dave. But does anybody look a couple of weeks off?
I'd say the fullback. I'd say Penny. Although again, you've got to put that into context. Penny was up against Wallace, so maybe defensively, Penny did quite well at times against Wallace. I thought, considering. Maybe going forward, perhaps not the same. Hence, obviously we're heavily linked with the lad from Borough, who now Warnock Coulson, isn't it? Who Warnock's now come out and said that he ain't going. Well, in Warnock speak, he ain't going anywhere because we're short on numbers or whatever it is. So maybe him. Burns, I thought, was slightly off the pace yesterday, and his final ball wasn't great. Saw some great set pieces from Evans. Will score goals from set pieces this season. Bart made I suppose you call it a bit of a Hollywood save second half, but a proper struck free kick, for once, beat the wall and, looked like he's going in the top corner. Good save. And his corners were good. So I think we'll score goals from set plays. Harper, just looks quality in there. Didn't land on the ball that much, but when he did, always available, always got time. Bigger than I thought. I thought he was going to be quite slight, but he's quite big, So I think we'll have a presence. We'll have a presence in there. It was, like I said, Bond, I felt for him because he's playing pretty much up there on his own. Okay, slightly advanced of Piggott, and he just got dominated by the two, which you would expect really. So a good workout, disappointing result, but as you quite rightly said, that's it's Millwall, and you think, oh, Millwall, but if that's the yardstick, that's something to achieve that, because I thought they looked really, really good.
And of course, things will look very, very different in a competitive game next week against Morecambe.
Yeah, I think you're not going to have that. They're not going to retain the ball so well. They're not going to have that sharp intensity of it. It's ping, ping, ping. First touch. We'll close the ball down here. We'll close the ball down there. It was touched off and gone. Really, really, really sharp. So no, you're not going to see that. So it would be really looking. Great to go back for me. Great to go back. Great to see the new players, and looking forward to next Saturday.
Brilliant stuff. Get your thoughts in if you're watching on YouTube in the comments if you were at the game yesterday. If you weren't, still get your thoughts in as well. Just a quick couple of plugs. You can support via the Acast supporter app. You can now become a regular contributor on PayPal. And on any of our live streams, you can super chat. All helps us with our sort of running of the podcast. And if you run or know a local business, someone with maybe an attachment to Matchdays or the town in particular, then do get in touch. We're looking to work with people and build our brand. Right. We're going to get to some questions after this. Here they come, DD.
Go on, shoot.
Let's pull some questions out here. Let's go to the bottom and then we'll get the first. Right, I meant to look at this one. This is Maurice or Morris. At the fans forum, bit disappointed with Ashton's reply to Joe Fairs, indicating that he did not believe a Category 1 academy was that important, that better than a Cat Coup. Do you agree? I've got the quotes, Dave, and I don't want to speak for you, but neither of us would claim to understand academy categories as well as Joe.
No.
But we'll give our views. It's what we've always done. This is what Mark Ashton said. It intrigues me why people think Cat 1 is a wonderful thing. It's a possibility. It doesn't particularly excite me. What's more important is how we develop players through our youth system that are ready for Paul Cook's first team as quickly as possible. We're Cat 2, which is really important because that protects us from a value perspective. So if we sell or a club tries to take one of our youngsters, we have a financial set of parameters that are in place. Cat 1 is something where, other than the games program, there is very little difference from what we have at Cat 2. Dave?
I think Joe responded pretty well to that. Whether I must admit, I haven't seen all of the fans forum from the other night, but I think Joe's point was that, well, it's almost a sort of contradiction there, because he said, okay, he wants to develop youth players to the first team, but then he goes on to mention, improve loans or improve quality of, expanding the loans program, etc. Which loans program always makes me think maybe ultimately there will be some link up between us and Phoenix. I don't know. Let's see how that develops. But I think Joe's point was that to get players through to the first team, you need these players to be playing in sort of high intensity, better quality football, which obviously Cat 1 would give us. The other side of that is looking at it, and what I think, he's basically CEO has come out there and said is, look, our aim is to, one, get out of this division as quickly as possible, and all investment and everything will be channeled towards that, at pretty much the exclusion of every other additional area of investment, potential area of investment, and to get up in the championship, and ultimately look the holy grail of getting up back. Can we say back after 20? I suppose we can after 20
Not
seasons.
After 1 or 2 seasons in the last 30 years, I don't think we can.
Getting up to the getting up to the Premier League. So it's a kind of conundrum, that, isn't it? And I think Joe's point was a really good point about the intensity of football and the competition these young players need to transition quicker to the first team. So that was an interesting response, I thought.
Yeah, just to throw in for people who are perhaps panicky about this, from watching a lot of Bristol City under Ashton, obviously you were a big fan of Lloyd Kelly, the left back that came through and then went off to Bournemouth. Tyreek Backinson and Antoine Semenyo last season. Look out for Tommy Conway and Alex Scott this season as well at Bristol City. So it's not like Bristol City never brought anybody through. They absolutely did under Mark Ashton.
I think the frustrating thing is for us, it's sort of almost, I say, stalled. I mean, we were close. I think, was it? Again, Joe will be shouting. No, it was earlier than that. But 2000, I want to say 2015, maybe 16, 2015. We were really close. I think we applied.
14.
Was it 4? Sorry, Ben. And missed out by 0.5% or something ridiculous.
0.3%.
Oh, is that okay?
I read Phil's article about 30 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, there you go. So, look, I think it's sort of after that it just almost stalled. So, we'd have presumably if we'd have had it, but it's stalled and things have, well, we all know the club has just since then has, let's face it, gone backwards. So it'll be interesting. It's certainly from the the compensation point of view. There's a fine example there of we've just lost Liam Gibbs to them up the A140. So it will be really interesting as to that. Well, I think we probably already know what the compensation is already sort of it's based on appearances, isn't it? So it's almost a sliding scale based on appearances. So be interesting to see how that pans out. But yeah, clearly, from the CEO, it's category one. The bottom line is it's not our focus at the moment, and everything's going to be channeled to one. Most importantly, this season, getting out of this division.
Very good. And feel free, Joe is very good at replying on Twitter. So give him a shout. Again, he knows way more than us do about this subject. This is from Anir, who's a young YouTuber, Dave, and he invited me on his channel to talk about something that if anyone in the world didn't need to talk about, it's you or I. He did a special on Mick McCarthy's Ipswich. There we go. So I went on there the other day. He wants to know what your 11 in an ideal world will be against Morecambe.
Wow. That's a good question. I saw this question. I would think the same. Well, I would think the same back four.
Thanks for it. Play by
okay,
play.
So goalkeeper who looked good yesterday, was at fault for the first goal. One of those ones where cross shot, didn't hold it, didn't push it out, and Afobe probably could have held it. But look, bit of criticism. He looks quite calm and composed. Other than that, yesterday, perhaps we defenders didn't react with Afobe. Right back, Vincent Young, who looked, to be fair, for me, slightly off the pace yesterday, which I hate because obviously again, a lot of injuries there. Look. Quite interestingly, Donassian came on with 20 minutes to go and pushed him further forward and looked more lively further forward.
He's never going away, Donassian.
No,
centre halves, DD.
Well, there you go. Vincent Young had a couple of touches further forward. He thought, hang on a minute, look useful. So if we don't add a fullback, I should imagine that Penny is who didn't have her terrible game yesterday, but like I said, was up against Wallace, so always a handful. I would, but then I assume the same back four. Then you've got Edmondson, who clearly didn't figure at all yesterday, who signed. Will he get up to speed? And have no match. He'll have no match play. No matches, but no match time for us. So I would be surprised if he came straight back in. So I would assume this if we don't sign a fullback out of nowhere, one of these ones, well, like a lot of our signings this year, we're going to sign
So just to clarify, Dave, just the names. Who are your back four?
Okay, so Vincent Young. So Vincent Young, Wolfenden, Enciala, and another, but I would think Penny at this moment in time. Yeah. Centre mid will be Evans and Hart, but I mean, perhaps Evans tired. I thought again he's been out with the last couple of games, I think, with an injury. I thought he tired towards the end, got caught in possession a few times, but you can see a quality there. So I think those two in centre mid. Yeah, Dobra again did quite well yesterday. I think people have said he's not quite the same impact as he had against Cole Yu, but I'd have thought he would feature. Burns disappointed me slightly yesterday. His final ball, he's obviously got pace, but his final ball was fairly poor. Again, difficult in midfield there because Fraser didn't feature yesterday, apparently carrying a slight injury, so he didn't feature yesterday. So in your real answer, I think the team that will start next week is perhaps the nucleus of the team that started yesterday. Chaplin was interesting yesterday because he wasn't initially named in the squad or on the team sheet. Joe said before the start, that's interesting. He was at least warming up. He was out there warming up, and he suddenly appeared 20 minutes from the end, and again showed some nice touches. So again, you think,
did he play left or right, Dave?
Was played down the middle, really.
Okay.
I think, yeah, he played down the middle. I think he pretty much took Bond's.
He won't in League One, will he? He'll be either orthodox or inverted wide forward.
Yeah, you would think so. So I would say the nucleus of the side that played yesterday, with potentially either Penny dropping out perhaps, but who for, God only knows, and maybe Chaplin in for Bon, or potentially Chaplin in for Bon, or perhaps Norwood in for Bon, depending on these, as Joe I think made the point yesterday, it's just depending on these new players and how quickly these recent new players and how quickly they get up to speed.
Yeah, we've had this discussion a lot already. I'm fascinated to see how this Bon Pigott thing plays out, and often you don't always just put all the best players on the pitch. That doesn't always make the best team, and it could be one or another a lot of the time, couldn't it?
I think so. You know, Pickett at times showed some nice touches yesterday. He's obviously quite a big lad, good awareness, got a good touch. But like I say, it was yesterday was a tough one because yeah, Millwall were very good and very sharp. It'll be far more of a yardstick next week against Morecambe. Yeah.
Yeah, quite. This one's from Chris. There's a bit for Dave and a bit for Ben, so I'll do the Ben bit. Has any club? Well, I'll read the whole question and then I'll answer my bit because my bit then doesn't make sense without reading your bit. Dave, can you think of any comparable squad turnover in town history? Ben, has any other club tried it to this extent in recent years? The only ones I could think of, Dave, were Wolves in 17-18, Chelsea in 03, 04, and Blackburn in about 1995. But honestly, when you look back, it was 2 or 3 periods of play. I know Chelsea did feel at one point like they were signing somebody every single, week for.
I think we made. I think one of the early things of the podcast we got talking about Chelsea, and I said, "Guess how many players Chelsea have got on loan?" And you said something like, "Oh, Dave, something ridiculous, like 24." And it was like 53 or something, wasn't it? It was something ridiculous. Yeah.
So, but the nearest example I can think of, particularly in terms of quality as ranked against the leagues, would be Wolves in the Championship in 17.
Of the Portuguese.
Yeah, Neves, Bonatini, Bolly, Jota, Ruddy, Bennett.
Let's hope our incomings can can match some of those.
Obviously, we're talking about relative levels, but in terms of amounts. What about
Bolly played with a cigar that season in his mouth, didn't he?
Yes, season? He did, didn't he? I think he still is, bless him. So what about in Ipswich terms? Would it be the sort of administration towards Joe Royal times? When's the biggest?
No, the biggest one. I looked at this and I thought that, and then I sort of looked through. Bloody hell! It must have been Jules' first full season, 11-12, that close season. So out that season went, I think, Macaulay, Wickham, David Norris. So 3 big outs. Obviously Wickham major out with the money, and in came Jet, Chopra, Cresswell. I mean, Jesus, Cresswell, Bowyer. I think Richard Wright came back. Ingemarson, Sonka. I think Ellington. I think Bullard may have become permanent. And then we had loans. We had people like Stockdale coming in, Andrews, Murphy. It was huge. How many of those, and again, someone will shout at me out there, but how many of those actually came in such a short period in the close season? I'm not sure, but I think the majority, obviously, permanent ones certainly would have done. So pretty massive. And let's hope for a better situation. I think that season we had a cracking win first off the bat at Bristol City, and that was a season we got tonked in that week 5 and 7 by Southampton and Peterborough respectively.
I've got it, Dave. Right, Chopra, Jet, Cresswell, Stevenson, Ingemarson, Collins, Bowyer, Sonko, Ellington, Stockdale, Andrews, Bullard, Wabara, McCarthy, and probably the first appearance of Daryl Murphy.
Wow.
As well, Richard Wright on a free. And you're right. Out went Wickham, Chiavelli, Hurahan, Griffiths, O'Connor. These are on loans.
I missed all the
Murphy,
outs.
Eastman,
I'll go for the high profile.
Norris, Brown, Fullop, Drury, Peters. Oh my God. There's literally about another 10 of them. Head over to transfermarkt.co.uk.
I should have done that. It was just off the top of my head. I knew the main outgoings.
Sounds like you're right though, Dave.
Oh mate, honestly, I don't think I didn't think until I looked at that. I didn't think there was such a seismic close season. But I think this season's obviously got a lot more perhaps profile about it because of the new the new investment and the new ownership. I mean, that was 3 seasons into the new investment, 3 or 4 seasons into the new investment. So Yeah, yeah. Put it into context. Can I just please let me put this into context? Please indulge me, as I know you always do. Bobby Robson made 14 signings in 13 seasons. It was different back then. First of which, that's a good question to throw out there. People throw out there. It's not live, is it? Unfortunately, but who was his first and who was his last? They were a good couple of questions to pitch there, I think.
There you go. Comments in at Blue Monday ITFC. You can follow us on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Another friend of ours who's on Instagram, who's very good, is our friend Bits, who I know we all have our phone at games, but he has a proper camera. So go give him a follow. And he's got a question here. My eye test so far, having watched them over the 3 games, has been looking at a squad of players who are clearly strangers. This is definitely going to take time, but historically, time is never on a manager's side. So how long has Cook got? What position do we need by end of October, Dave? It's got to be 12th minimum by the end of October.
Mate, I'd say higher than that. I'd say higher than that.
Dave, really remember, if you're 12th in October, you're probably 6 points off the playoffs, aren't you?
Yes, but I know it's yeah, okay, fine. Brand new squad. I mean, think of how it's gone in recent 2 seasons. We've started off like the proverbial train. I mean, Jesus Christ, season before last.
That's a great point. Yeah, at League One level, others are slower to get up to speed, aren't they? Sorry, continue.
I would think. I was speaking to our good friend of the pod, Jules Who's last night. Just having an exchange on Twitter with Jules last night, and I think this season more than any, probably indifference will be. You would think will be a slow burn. These players have got to. He's got the one. He's got to get the right formation, the right 11 he wants out on the pitch, playing the way he wants. And to achieve those results. So it's going to take. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, so perhaps a slow burn. But yeah, he needs to be on the. I would say, honestly, I know it's early, but he needs to be on the cusp. We need to be on the cusp of those. Well, they're certainly in the playoffs, or the cusp of those playoffs at the end of October. Otherwise, the manager is going to be coming under intense pressure, I would say.
I think we come, Dave, in the same category as I put year 1 parachute teams in the championship in.
Yeah.
It's very, very binary, this. Yeah. Either you get promoted or you don't. And I think in terms of fans' patience, it's that simple, isn't it? That especially if playoffs are concerned, if you I remember Scott Parker at Fulham, people were asking me all season, is he a good manager or not? And that was my answer. If he goes up, he's a good manager. If he doesn't, he's not, with that squad and that money. So, I know he won't be judged at the end of May, but he should be. But,
won't work like that, Ben. It won't work like that this season, I don't think.
It absolutely won't, will it?
No.
This is a good question, Dave, from Will. Lots to talk about the new signings, but which player who was here last season will have the biggest impact?
Wow. Who's still here? I've lost the.
Vincent Young.
I know. You would think out of those players. Yeah, no, exactly. You would think Vincent Young out of all those players. With again, touching wood, fingers crossed, with a relatively, hopefully an injury-free spell in the team, can recapture what he had, crikey, when he first came 2 seasons ago. I mean, my God, he was outstanding. I mean, for that early spell until he got injured, they were saying, blimey, we've got to be careful here because we could be losing him back to the champion, losing him to the championship in January, for Christ's sake. So, yeah, you would think him. Wolfenden was interesting yesterday. Wolfenden, to me, and I don't know if any of our subscribers were there yesterday, is really bulked out. Looks just bigger and stronger, bulked out, and he was half decent yesterday. Obviously, Enciala. Well, Enciala's Enciala. It is a very much a you love him or you don't sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see there. But yeah, I would have thought certainly Vincent Young. Going to be interesting week this week with Flynn Downs, because he was obviously heavily linked with West Brom last week, which I think that came out on.
That wouldn't it?
Certainly, well, yeah, I think so. But that came out on TWTD. That was pretty advanced on Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. That's gone quiet for a few days, so we'll see what.
And Ishmael last season took Ramal Palmer, stuck him straight in, played him every game. Young centre midfielder next to Mowat. So I'd imagine he wouldn't have any issue doing exactly the same with Flynn Downs.
Look, Downs is maybe another one of these players. Look, his head was maybe turned this time last season with all the Palace talk, and apparently we turned down offers for him. Whether he's, I know, old football cliche, whether his head has really been in the game for us since then, arguable. He never really kicked on last season at all, did he? Again, another one had suspension, injury problems and stuff. So yeah, look, I wouldn't mind if Flynn Downs didn't go and he stayed around the squad. I'm more than happy with that. But you got to think he'll be gone.
Thank you as ever, everybody, for your questions coming in. Apologies, literally scroll down the phone and whichever one pops out, but please keep them coming. There is literally no thought goes into the selection whatsoever, so apologies if you get missed out. Right, quick one from me, Dave, to finish with. Expectations are very, very high. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the positions people are kind of looking at. Can you give me a quick take? We have Charlton with Nigel Adkins, who knows what he's doing, doesn't he? We have MK Dons, which is going to be a really interesting one because we're expecting maybe tomorrow morning or later today Russell Martin to
Swansea
pop up at Swansea. But they've recruited well, and they look like we're going to be having a fun season. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday is a little bit affected by the soft embargo, but Bannon is still there. Reach is still there. Lewis Wing has just arrived, hasn't he? People like Josh Windass probably be good at this level. Wickham and Ainsworth, okay, the bar's been set excessively high, but Sam Vokes in there now as well. Rotherham in League One are a bit like Norwich, Fulham and West Brom in the Championship, aren't they? Although Crooks has gone out, hasn't he? And Ola Sunday went off to Preston.
Crooks went to Borough in the end?
Crooks went to Borough, yeah. Sunderland and Lee Johnson. And, of course, we mentioned Lincoln and Michael Appleton. I won't ask you how many of those teams are going to finish above Ipswich.
Crap, we're going to finish 10th.
Sorry, I haven't mentioned Wigan as well. And
Portsmouth? You've got to throw them in, haven't you?
Charlie White, Pompey as well. Who are you scared of here, Dave?
Looking at our squad, Ben, I'm not scared of anybody.
Stop it.
At all. No, you'd think. Wigan look pretty strong, and with the with the investment as well. Sunderland. I know we always say that big club mentality, but Sunderland at some point have got to get out of this division, haven't they? You'd think, just on the. No, it doesn't guarantee anything, but you would think. MK, seemingly recruited well. Be like you said, be interesting to see what happens at MK.
Get the manager hire right, Dave. Well, that's screwed, isn't
absolutely.
It?
Yeah, that could be a a positive thing for us. Lincoln again. I think it's 3, and obviously Charlton. So I'd say Charlton, Wigan. You got to throw Sunderland into that as well. So I'd say those 3 perhaps. Perhaps MK. Yeah, it's Ben. I don't know, but you'd think on the strength of our squad and the quality of players we signed, and with the Championship pedigree and stuff, that we should be more than a match for everyone.
There.
Well, look. I think that if we finish that well, if there's any way coming into the new year that we're slightly not fully entrenched, at least in the top 6, then we're gonna have a new manager, aren't we?
But as you pointed out, we have been the last couple of seasons in there and not been very good.
Look, this season with the squad and with the I think that's
been stronger though, Dave, isn't it now?
The league is stronger, but I think in previous seasons that's purely been down to the depth and the quality of the squad, hasn't it? Well, now you're looking at the squad even now without, even Ashton's now talking. We haven't stopped yet, so there could be even more 2 or 3 coming in. So, you'd have the depth of squad to kick on. Where we've had that sort of lull after the sort of October time, we lost Vincent Young that season before last season. We lost Downs, and it was just so bloody and other players. It was so disjointed sort of thing. So, look, certainly a better depth of squad, certainly more strength in depth. So, you would think I'd envisage this season. if we can stay with it and the fans stay on side, being perhaps a slow burn, but building up to let's say hopefully a successful promotion push.
Stop it. There we go. Dave, thank you. Lovely to go one-on-one with the great one, as The Rock used
me
to
too.
say.
Obviously, me too. Yeah,
Deary
obviously.
Me.
Yeah.
So, complete transparency, I may be disappearing for a couple of weeks because my missus is incredibly heavily pregnant. So, if you don't see me for a while, that'll be why, but I'm sure I'll pop up somewhere. But the rest of the team will carry that weight, in the words
next pod, Ben. I expect to see you at your podcast station with Babe in Arms, my friend.
And that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So there we go. On the eve of a new season. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, everybody.
And it's a big goodbye. Keep your fingers crossed, and let's hope this is going to be. This is the one, Dave. This is it.
But hey, look, in summary, this is Ipswich Town. This is Ipswich Town. We know. Despair is hiding round the corner somewhere. We know it. But no. Come on, be positive.
See you soon, guys.